Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jack Canfield, and with me today is Frank Gutta. He is a certified public accountant and a personal financial specialist, and is the author of a new book entitled Your Safe Retirement Roadmap, which we're going to talk about. And Frank has been practicing as a CPA and a financial advisor for more than 35 years. And I asked him here to talk about how you can have a stress-free and happy retirement by using his proprietary 4-bucket system. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, let's start talking about what you're trying to achieve with your new book.
Well, today, Jack, we are living longer and longer, more than any generation before us. With that comes tremendous opportunities as well as staggering challenges. The opportunities are that we can travel to farther places, spend more time with our loved ones, more than our parents or grandparents could have ever imagined. The challenge, however, is how do we make sure our money lasts as long as we do? So there's been misconceptions out there that when you were younger, you were more focused on growth. But as you get closer to retirement, which I call the retirement danger zone, you need to be more careful. You've got to focus more on distribution and protecting what you have so that you can have an income stream that you cannot outlive.
Now, you have this thing you call the 4-bucket system, which I find really cool. Talk about that.
Sure. Before I talk about that, let me give you an example of what the risks are in retirement, which I call the sequence of returns.
Okay.
Let me talk about Mr. Smith and Ms. Jones. This way I can explain why the 4-bucket system works so well. Mr. Smith was retired at age 65, and Ms. Jones was also 65 when she retired. They both had about $1 million in their 401k. They both had an average annual return of 10.5%. They both withdrew 5% out of their portfolio when they retired. They thought, well, if I averaged about 10.5, I should be good with taking out 5%. They were both in retirement for about 30 years. The only difference is that Jack retired in 1973 and Ms. Jones retired in 1974. Unfortunately, Mr. Smith ran out of money during his retirement. So what happened? Whereas Ms. Jones was okay. It's what's called the sequence of returns. Mr. Smith didn't realize that the year he retired, the market also went down. It went down, I think, around 30%. So he was essentially digging a hole with 2 shovels. One, the market's going down, and number 2, he's taking out money. And he put himself into a death spiral that he could never recover from, and eventually had to move in with his kids. Whereas Ms. Smith and Ms. Jones, the following year when she retired, the market went up, so she had a cushion, and she survived. And even when she retired, and upon her passing, she still had enough money left. So this is what's called the sequence of returns. And most people don't want to take this chance, and because nobody knows when they retire that the market will go up or down. Nobody knows that. That's why I came up with the 4-bucket system. The first bucket is your liquidity bucket. This is money you keep aside for emergencies, because emergencies will happen and usually happens at the most inopportune time. So you want to leave enough money in there, whether it's 6 months, a year, whatever you feel comfortable leaving there for emergencies. The second bucket is the inflation bucket, because what's cost today, what's going to cost tomorrow in the future is going to be a lot more than what it costs today. So you want to have vehicles that will keep up with inflation, and not only keep up, but also outpace inflation. And that could be stocks, bonds, growth annuity, real estate, or whatever you feel good with. The third bucket is the income bucket. This is the vehicle that you want to use that's going to give you an income stream guaranteed for the rest of your life. Social Security is one of them. Social Security is issued by the government. It's like an annuity issued by the government, which gives you an income stream guaranteed for the rest of your life. The other vehicle is a pension, and less than 20% of the people today have a pension. So what we need to do is create our own pension, and the only way you can do it is with an annuity. Why an annuity? Because insurance companies have both sides of the equation. They got life insurance in case you die too soon, and they got annuities in case you live too long. There was a study done by Boston College, and if I may read that to you, what they state is ensuring retirement security for an aging population is one of the most compelling challenges facing the nation. The main focus these days is ensuring that retirees have a large enough nest egg. However, to achieve real security in retirement, households need as much as possible out of the nest egg during the drawdown period. Annuities guarantee that households do not outlive their money. Finally, annuities provide more income than other approaches such as the 4% rule or living off the interest of your assets. This is Boston College National Risk Index study back in 2010. So the fourth bucket is most people want to feel guilty about spending all their money because they want to leave something for their kids. Now, some of you might not want to leave anything for your kids, but those of you that do, there's a way that you can, for pennies on the dollar, leave tax-free money for the next generation. And you can essentially give yourself a permission slip to spend all your money because the kids are already taken care of.
So you won't have to be wearing that T-shirt that says, "I'm spending my kids' retirement."
Exactly. That's true.
I've seen that on vacation somewhere. Now, in your book, you talk about what you see as the 4 major roadblocks in retirement. Can you talk about those?
Sure. Like anything in life, there's always roadblocks, and so you'll have those in retirement as well. The first roadblock is, of course, the roadblock of things will cost more, inflation, which is the silent killer of wealth. And today, people are living 20, 30 years in retirement. So what costs today will cost a lot tomorrow. So you've got to deal with inflation risk. The second risk is the stock market risk, like what happened in 2001 and 2008. If you're retiring just around that time in that retirement danger zone, you could have a problem. The third risk is longevity risk. We are living longer and longer, more than any generation before us. And the fourth risk is long-term care risk. There's a 70% chance that a 65-year-old will need some kind of care during their life. But the biggest risk of all 4 of them, I believe, is longevity risk. Why do I say that? Because the longer you live, the greater the chance you're going to run into inflation. The longer you live, the greater the chance you're going to run into the stock market debacle, like what happened in 2001 and 2008. The longer you live, you might need care during your lifetime. What if we can take longevity risk off the table? I believe we can. And the only way we can is to have guaranteed lifetime income that you cannot outlive. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate cannot take longevity risk off the table.
What takes longevity risk off the table?
Annuities. Annuities is the only vehicle that can take longevity risk off the table.
Explain annuities a little more, because I've heard about that, and I don't think most people know really how they work.
Sure, there's different kinds of annuities. There's variable annuities, there's fixed annuities, and there's many. So you got to pick the right type of annuity, one with lower fees, one that'll give you life, because that's basically creating a pension for yourself. So it's basically giving you the most amount of income for the rest of your life by a quality A-rated insurance company.
So you're basically paying money into it, and then they're paying you money out on a fixed rate over time.
Correct. And what they do, what they guarantee is guarantee you a lifetime income. So no matter how long you live, because some people will live a lot longer, some people will die sooner. So you just you're passing on the risk from you to a major US corporation.
Got it. Now, you mentioned to me before we came on air, you discovered some information during your research that blew your mind. I'm curious what that was.
There was this whole issue of long-term care. I was shocked when I read that every 40 seconds, somebody in America has a stroke. That's unbelievable. I had no idea.
I didn't either.
Yeah. And the other thing is 1 in 10 people 65 or older have Alzheimer's. And 1 in 3 that's 80 years old has Alzheimer's. I believe 53 million people in America have osteoporosis. So, we need to protect ourselves against things like this. And there's creative ways to pay for long-term care. which the government issued back in 2010, which is called the Pension Protection Act.
Well, I wish we had more time because you know a lot of stuff that I think people need to know. If people want to get a hold of your book, if they want to reach you for advice or to work with, how do they reach you?
They can email me. It's Frank, Frank, at Frank again, my last name Gutta, Gutta, CPA, like certified public accountant.com. So it's Frank at frankguttacpa.com.
Got it. Perfect. Well, Frank, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. You've given us a lot to think about, things that I think most people don't take the time to until it's too late. So thanks for all of you watching today as well. And make sure to tune in next week where I'll be interviewing another person who can help you live a happier, healthier, more financially secure and abundant and worry-free life. Until then, take good care of yourself.